partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. 699 Walnut Street, 4th floor, Des Moines, Iowa, 50309.
Straight talk on life and money. This is the Dave Ramsey Show on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
That's right. That's where you can find us always. You can go to my Facebook page at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, and find video and audio there of what's happening in the studio. Am I still there? Yes, I'm looking at myself on audio right now. Why? Don't you love it when your computer says, we have to restart now, right in the middle of your talk show? Yes, don't do this to me. Just okay, do it to me much later. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. So, Eric Branstad is supposed to call me here in a short period of time. Haven't heard from him yet. Jim Kirsten is usually on at this time, but Jim texted me just a short time ago to say that it would be Eric Branstad, and that would be terrific. So we could find out a little bit more about his father's decision, who is former Governor Branstad, of course, his decision to leave as ambassador of China. And, of course, there's a myriad of explanations. Again, the governor is 4 or 5 years older than me, or the former governor. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Whoa, hello. Hello. Well, I thought that might have been Eric Branstad, and it probably is, trying to call me from a car phone or something. I'll bet that's the deal. But we're going to be patient and wait for Eric Branstad, who I believe, I know he is, the chairman of Trump for Iowa. So let's try this again. Is this Eric Branstad? No, this is not Eric Branstad. Well, this is cool. This is a thing that we could do. I'm sure he's trying to call and get a hold of us, but it's just not working out. Maybe he could get somewhere where he could just pause and make a phone call, because our phone service has been kind of screwed up since that derecho. Anyway, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Is this Mr. Branstad?
No, actually, it's Jim. He told me he was going to call in today, but he must have gotten delayed.
Okay.
So I thought, I'll just call in. And I talked to him earlier today, and he wanted to share some information that I thought would be good coming from him.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm sorry he can't make it.
Yeah, well, he does definitely want to call you, so I'll make sure that he calls you again. And, at some other point. And I'm sure, the Biden campaign will want to do the same thing, give you their perspective of where Iowa stands.
I don't know. Iowa and a couple of other early states nearly ended the Biden campaign. I'd love to tell this story. Those who believe that the Democrats are somehow a friend of the working people. I mean, Biden, the DNC was told by their Wall Street backers to pick Biden and not Sanders and Warren. If the DNC did pick Sanders or Warren, they wouldn't fund the campaign. So they got Biden out as kind of a court of last resort, and he's running for president now. But I would like to point out again, ladies and gentlemen, that these people are not friends of working people. They are not. And there's always a question in major newspapers, Jim. Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. I get them all. Cedar Rapids Gazette, Des Moines Register, Iowa City Press Citizen.
Wow.
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I read them all regularly, kind of keep up on the different perspectives. But they're always asking about working class support for Donald Trump. What drives these people to support a Republican president whose background is not at all like theirs? That's a fair question, but the reason should be obvious. Because Trump has done more for working people in Iowa and in the country than the Democrats ever thought of. The Democrats are obsessed with their usual race and sex issues and climate change and on and on and on. We're just trying to make a living, Jim. We would like to pay
the Green New Deal.
Yeah, the Green New Deal. That's great. Huh? Yeah, we'll give away a bunch of stuff. We'll see how that works out. Margaret Thatcher always said the problem with socialism is that sooner or later you run out of other people's money. And that's what would happen with the Green New Deal. Now, Ocasio-Cortez and that Omar from Minneapolis can go on and on and on about the evils of the United States of America. But I don't think anybody takes them seriously, frankly. But I'm glad they keep talking. They're not a very good representative of the Democratic Party, especially Omar, who just seems to spit when she talks about our country. And I don't understand. I mean, we rescued her from a refugee camp in the Middle East. She comes over here, gets elected to Congress, for God's sake, and she still has nothing good to say about our country. I wonder if that's...
Hey, Mike, I got Eric calling me on my phone if you want me to have him just call you right now.
That's fine. Great idea.
All right, bye.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, this is AM 1400 KBFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Yeah, we're still waiting for Eric Branstad, and that would be good. I guess I got a chance to vent there to Jim Kirsten about. I got in trouble last night. I sat down to watch Monday Night Football, and here we go. We're lining up. We're kneeling during our national anthem. Young woman sang the anthem quite well. They presented the flag, and we had a lot of players on both the Broncos and Giants kneeling. And I put on my Facebook page, these guys are out here kneeling, so F them. That's, I'm not trying to be crude, but I guess there's no other way for me to describe my crude actions. Well, that drew some immediate responses, back and forth and back and forth. If we are all Americans, we should respect our anthem. If you don't believe in our country, I guess you should kneel, but you should do it somewhere else out of respect for your fellow Americans, or as a common courtesy. You shouldn't go around insulting people like that. Now, I've heard all of these ridiculously lame excuses about, this isn't about the anthem. Yes, it is. If it's not about the anthem, if it's not about the flag, why are you picking this particular point to kneel? And what does the kneel mean? Well, of course it means I'm not going to stand. I'm going to kneel rather than stand for your anthem and your flag. Well, what do you mean, your flag and your anthem? Isn't this your flag and your anthem? Because if it's not, you need to explain this. Listen, I'm all in on this. I'm all for having an honest conversation on race. And all over the newspapers, the radio, and the television, well, some people just don't want an honest conversation about race. To which I would reply, you're correct. And those people would be white liberals. The last thing they want is an honest conversation on race, because we would have to, sooner or later, address their plantation mentality. Showing up at a service for a well-known African-American man in Fort Dodge, Iowa, wearing your campaign T-shirts is disrespectful and indicates a mindset that, yes, you owe us your support. No, nobody does. Nobody does. And by the way, other than public housing and on some of these other things that didn't work, what has white, guilt-ridden liberalism done for African Americans? Has it improved their lot? Yes. I will give people of both parties, but primarily the Democrats in the 50s and 60s, when I was just a kid, for moving the ball forward on race relations. But you know who did that? It wasn't John Kennedy. It wasn't any of these characters that we have now in office. It was Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson, who Democrats wound up hating because, he was a warmonger. He was this and that and the other thing. Well, he did some ugly things because power ain't pretty. Lyndon Johnson used to say that. Power ain't pretty, but it's power. But it's power. Lyndon Johnson used to say, presidents have power, and power ain't pretty. It's just power. And he used that power to pass the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Nothing subsequent generations of Democrats, including Obama, have done impacts the black community more than those two things, than a rural American from deeply rural Texas, Lyndon Johnson. And of course, he had that old Texas drawl, and he wasn't a very good looking guy compared to John Kennedy. So the Democrats, kind of quickly got turned off on him pretty fast. Then, as now, the center of Democratic Party power is in the Northeast. And by the way, when we see where some of these campaign contributions are coming from, look at your Democratic Party candidates, and you will see, as we did in the last election, by the way, donations from people in New York or California, primarily New York City. That's not a dentist in New York City contributing directly to a local race here in Iowa. That's party money. And the party distributes it as they see fit. We'll see how much party money and East Coast money comes around this time, because there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot. And yeah, there'll be some. I don't think there'll be that much national party money come out here to Iowa. I don't know. I could be wrong. Of course, that information is going to be available to the public soon if it's not already out. But it's that's what you will find. That's what you will find. If we're going to have capitalism, if we're going to insist on capitalism, which is carved in stone with the Republican Party for sure, and frankly, a lot of members of the Democratic Party, you heard Nancy Pelosi, we are capitalists. We are capitalists. You think Nancy Pelosi's had a little work done? Get a close-up of her face and tell me really honestly. Does an 80-year-old woman have naturally brown hair? Why doesn't she have any age marks around her eyes? Yes, we're going to go to the plastic surgeon. But come on. I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump. He is obnoxious. He really is obnoxious. But you kind of know where he's at. Oh, he's a liar, I always hear. He's a liar, he's a liar, he's a liar. Well, yeah. But again, I would say I haven't met too many presidential candidates that weren't, or presidents in general. Do you think if Hillary Clinton would have been elected in his stead, that she would have been honest? Because I'll tell you the answer to that would be no. No, it wouldn't. I've never been so... I haven't been this disgusted with politics since 2016, when I saw the major parties put forward, or I should say the Democratic Party, put an old war horse like Hillary Clinton up in front of us and said, you have to vote for her or you'll get Trump. Trump, as you recall, beat 16 competitors. 16. Well, why was that? Well, that was because of working class voters. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Mike. You're on the air. Whoops. Yeah, now they're gone again. Crying out loud. Hello, it's Mike.
Hi, this is Eric Branstad.
Oh, there you are. How are you, Mr. Branstad? How's things going today?
Excellent.
Good. I have a big question here for you. It's only 4 minutes before we got to go to the news. Sorry we couldn't get together earlier. But your dad, the former governor and the former ambassador, is retiring or resigning anyway. Why is he doing that?
He loves being in China. He loves working for the president, and to be completely honest, it's hard for him to sit back and watch all of the election going on in Iowa. And certainly he wants to come back and be helpful to all of our congressional candidates, to Senator Ernst, to the president, to everybody. And he's so excited to be back. We expect him back at the beginning of October, and he is more fired up than I've ever heard him ever.
So he will be back working campaigns. Well, David Young, for example, in the 3rd District, and I've met Mr. Young several times. He's a great guy, really. And he got beat by Cindy Axne by less than 5,000 votes, I guess. I mean, he won all of the counties. He won 16 of the 17 counties in the 3rd district. But of course, the 3rd district is Polk County, or the biggest county in the 3rd district is Polk County. And that's where most of Axne's numbers came from, or voters came from. Will
Exactly.
he will be fighting then, I guess, for his old chief of staff, Mr. Young?
Well, he was David Young was Senator Grassley's chief of staff.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No worries. Actually, you're not the only one that thought that. But former Congressman Young is out there. In fact, I'm sitting in front of the headquarters right now. I know he's here, and he is working harder than I've ever seen him work, as well as State Senator Feenstra. And I just was on the bus tour with Marionette Miller Meeks in Southeast Iowa last week, and saw Ashley Hinson in Northeast Iowa. Everybody's working harder than I've ever seen them work, and we've got real opportunity here to pick up and take back these seats, and we got to do it. It's time. I mean, the alternative is, I don't even want to think what the alternative is if we're not successful. So as I've been telling people the last week, we've got to do more this campaign cycle than we've ever done before.
I was just, before you called, I was on there and talking about the alternative. And it's time we start imagining what that would look like, because that is starting to look like a nightmare, for God's sake. Joe Biden is obviously a puppet. He can't stay focused. I'm not happy to report a man has gotten to a time in his life where he can't focus, but that's what happened. And that's what is happening in front of us. And the policies of the Democratic Party and their interest groups are horrendous. I'm sorry, Mr. Branstad, we're out of time already, but please have Jim Kirsten give you my phone number, or give my cell phone number to one of your press people so we can have you on fairly regularly.
Not to worry. Thank you so much. It's always great to be on.
Thank you, sir. This is AM 1400 KBFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. That's Mr. Eric Branstad. It was great to talk with him for a couple of minutes anyway. It's 4 o'clock. David Furick is next. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
A bold prediction from the president. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
You'll see some very great things happening in the Middle East. You're going to have peace without blood in the sand.
This as he hosted a White House signing ceremony for what he hopes will lay the groundwork. Historic peace accords for Israel with the UAE and Bahrain.